So our second biggest transfer in our transfer history has finally been confirmed. Anthony Gordon is a Newcastle player. It's taken long enough for the news to come through, but now that it's finalised, we're just going to very quickly discuss the presentation of the player, the formalities, and all the news that's been released since he's been announced by the club. So stick around. Welcome back to Black and White Banter, you lovely, lovely Newcastle fans. If I'm saying welcome back, if you are new to this channel, you've just stumbled across us because this video's popped up because you're searching about transfers or Newcastle, or even if you weren't supposed to be, you're actually looking for a cooking recipe. Whatever you're doing, drop down, give us a little thumbs up. That goes a very long way and it takes you no time at all, even before you disappear for the video you're actually looking for. Do that now, and if you like my opinion, you probably don't like my face, by the end of this video, whack that subscribe, because we absolutely love our subscribers, each and every one of you, and we are looking for that to keep growing, and long may that continue. So the news is finally broken that Anthony Gordon is a Newcastle player. It's just come through in the last sort of 45 minutes. We've all been waiting. We knew it was happening. I've already done a video talking about the player in a little bit more detail further down, so I'm not going to do that on this one. Who he is, where I think he'll fit in, the criticism that's come from fans, but we've all been waiting. Terms were agreed with the club, terms were agreed with the player. He was at the stadium yesterday. He even had a chance to pop over the Metro Centre. You know, you're in Newcastle, why not? I'm sure he probably had a peace pudding sarnie. He probably went down the big market and had a cheeky pint. He even had time to pop over the Metro Centre. He met the Metro Gnomes, had a little ride on the train a couple of times going round, and even went to the arcade. So that was done yesterday, and the news is finally broken. So as is always the case with big signings now, there has to be a fancy intro video. I quite liked Anthony Gordon's. I can't share the actual video, but what was really interesting in it is Anthony Gordon is talking in the backdrop of it, showing the fans in the stadium and whatnot, and he says it'll be nice to have the fans on his side. Cheeky little dig, cheeky little knife into the Everton fans who were maybe sad for him to go, but a lot of them I don't think are. But after everything that's gone on with Everton, with him getting chased down the street when they were beaten at home to Southampton in his car by Everton fans, that video that went viral, it was just a little dig and basically implied that he cannot wait to get out of Everton Football Club, and maybe that hate that he got over the last month or so with that club, so toxic at the moment, was one of the reasons he wanted out. So he very quickly mentions that it's going to be great to have the fans on his side. We get a cheeky little "how are the lads" from him at the end of the video, which is very strange in a Scouse accent, I've got to admit. But a lovely video, and I've just read over the synopsis of his interview, the general gist of his interview, his first interview on the official club website. He talks about being excited by Eddie Howe's playing style. That's no surprise with the high press that we have. He's the second fastest player in the Premier League. He likes to press. He's got energy to burn. So that's something I'm sure Eddie Howe is a massive fan of. That's why he's gone back after him twice now. He talks about the fans, the city, Eddie Howe, all being things that excite him. He says that Newcastle's the sort of city that suits him down to the ground. Is anyone surprised by that? Really? God, you've got nightlife to choose. You've got 2 million bars to choose from. You've got the Quayside. Like, as I mentioned earlier, you've got peace pudding sarnies on every corner. You've got a Greggs. I'm sure Anthony Gordon loves a Greggs. There's probably plenty of them in Liverpool as well. It's a lovely city. Anyone from further down south who has anything bad to say about Newcastle always winds me up. It's a lovely city, so that's no surprise at all. Now it's just down to whether we can see the best of him. Very young guy. I don't expect too much from him in the early stages. I think it would be very unrealistic. Don't forget, Newcastle fans, price tags in this modern day and age mean nothing, in my opinion, unless you're talking about like 90, 100, 110. The market's crazy. January market is crazy. This is an English player, so you get the English tax. I'm not expecting anything of him too early because he's young. He still needs nurturing. He still needs fine-tuning. He's not the finished article by any means. Eddie Howe will know he's not the finished article. A lot of Newcastle fans, as I mentioned on my video a bit further down, were a bit sceptical about this player coming in because of the history he's dived when he played at St James in October. And what I love is, since the player's been presented, all of the Newcastle squad are taking the piss out of that moment. Kieran Trippier shared on his Instagram the video of him and Fabian Schär pushing him at St James's, which is just fantastic banter. I love it. we are Black and White Banter for a reason. That's what I can get on board with. Callum Wilson's jumped in on his Instagram story. He shared photos of them all getting in his face on his Instagram story and said, if you can't beat them, join them. Absolutely love it. I'm all for that, and that just shows what sort of team spirit is in this squad. So that's obviously something that's been talked about. Anthony Gordon on his first day meeting the players is that incident in October, and they all choosing to take the piss out of it. There's even been a photo been shared of him meeting Fabian Schär, the guy who got in his face in October at St James's when it all kicked off, shaking his hand. So that's been shared as well. There's just so many great things doing the rounds, and that's a great bit of banter. So fair play, lads, on that one. Now, the contract length hasn't been disclosed. It's long term. I'm not surprised it's long term. He's 21-year-old and he's coming in for a lot of money. I wouldn't be surprised if it's 4 or 5 years. And don't forget, with FFP in mind, Newcastle fans, Premier League are trying to change the rules on contract length. Now, Chelsea have taken advantage of a player coming in on a ridiculous deal. I think one of their players this window signed on an 8-year contract so they can spread payments and it balances out over FFP. That hasn't been changed yet. It's just something the Premier League are looking at. So if we get a player on a longer term deal, that is going to make it a much more financially controlled and not crazy deal as of right now, which would potentially allow us to spend a little bit more. So we don't know the length of the contract yet. I don't believe we know the player's number yet. That hasn't been disclosed on any photos released from the club. I don't know whether he's got a number that hasn't been put out there yet. But Anthony Gordon is our player. I hope every Newcastle fan gets behind him. A lot of scepticism with him coming in because of the season he's had so far. He's come from a very poor Everton team this year, a toxic Everton team. That's not going to be helping him. He's been relied on at Everton rather than being just gradually introduced. He's become a vocal point for them in the last 2 seasons of battling relegation. That's not good for a player who's just coming through the ranks and really starting to expose themselves to that first team environment. He's not going to get that at Newcastle. I've got no doubts about it. Eddie Howe wants to nurture him in. We even saw it with Bruno. He wasn't thrown into the deep end. But Anthony Gordon is a Newcastle player now. Harrison Ashby is another one that we've agreed a deal for today, according to reports. I'm not going to talk about him now. That's actually going to be another video that might come tonight or in the morning. So you're going to see a little bit more of my face where we talk a little bit more in depth about Harrison Ashby from West Ham. Do I expect much more business between now and Tuesday night? No, I don't. But with this Newcastle team, what we've seen in previous windows, who knows? James Maddison, apparently there was a bid from an unnamed team rejected from Leicester. I don't expect us to be going for him. But with Newcastle, if a player is at the right price, we will probably snap teams' hands off. So I don't know. It's one of them. We'll keep our eyes peeled. We'll keep our ears to the floor. If another player comes in, then great. But the roller coaster ride we've been on this season with Isak back, with Maximin now looking like he's a little bit sharper. As long as Callum Wilson can stay fit, best defence in the league, no massive injury issues in defence, touch wood, or history of that, we probably maybe have enough. Would we have liked to have maybe seen another midfielder, a central midfielder in this window? Yes. But as it stands at the moment, the squad, we have no reason to doubt that they can go on to do great things in the second half of the season, as we've seen in the first 19 games. I'm behind every single one of them, and I think the summer window, if we get European football, will be huge. But as always, Newcastle fans, let me know what you think about Anthony Gordon now he's been confirmed. He's coming in on a big price tag. We can't underestimate that, but the inflation of the market, particularly in January, we can't overanalyse that neither. I think he has a lot of talent. I think he suits our system. I think there's a lot of potential there from Eddie Howe to turn him into a world beater. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. If you've liked my opinion, Newcastle fans, drop down and whack that subscribe button. That goes a long way. Give us one of them. And I've got no doubts about it. As I've already mentioned, there is going to be more transfer videos coming before that huge game against Southampton on Tuesday. One of the biggest in our recent history, and I cannot wait for it. So stick around for all them videos coming up. Whack that subscribe button and I'll see you on the next one. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. Away the lads.